Hey everybody, it's the Doctor here with Typical Manga Fan. The Stone and Jump manga aren't coming out this week, but we do have our three other less regular series. And this episode is dedicated to Akame got Kill 66 Kill Fate. I just had a thought about that, but I'll get to that later.
Okay.
Get my phone out of the way here. We open up with Kurome and Akame still duking it out, and Kurome noticing that her motions and actions are getting slower, even though the drug should still be working. Problem is that she burnt up her stamina using her Tegu against Akame.
Yeah. And so they're still fighting, and then suddenly Wave pops up saying Kurome, and he's in his his Tegu actually is now transformed, hasn't it? It looks a lot more like
Tatsumi's, and he's got the eye. I notice.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
his left eye.
Yeah. So Tatsumi intervenes and smashes him, kicks him, and then basically Tatsumi's like, I can't let you interfere, and then Wave's just like, no, and he's like, trying to get out of the way. He's trying to make Tatsumi, he's trying to beat Tatsumi so that way he can get to Kurome faster. And so there's some fighting going on.
Yeah, Wave wants to protect Kurome, but Tatsumi's pointing out that she's the one who wanted this fight to begin with.
Yeah, Wave has no ears apparently. And so he says, look, Tatsumi says, look, I'm gonna put you down if you keep doing this, because I'm not intervening because, I promise. Basically, he said, like, once you stand up, all bets are off. I will kill you.
Yes.
So basically, Wave sees what the hell's name is? I don't know what's name.
Ron or Ran, I forget what his exact name is. But
the corpse that was used by Kurome, who apparently still has some sentience in him, and he decides to use his ability. Well, actually, wait. Let me see.
The corpse still had its Tegu.
Yeah, it's Tegu. Yeah, because I thought I missed something, but not really. But so he decided to use the Tegu from the corpse, and then he is now a dual wielder, and you can see this. He has the wings around him as well as his own Tegu, and then he's like. Tatsumi's like, wow, I can't believe you go this far because using two Tegu is not very healthy for you.
Yep.
So at this point, he says, I'm going to reach Kurome, flies up, and uses an attack. And then you don't actually see what happens afterwards. They just smash into each other.
Like literally, big old fat smash right there in the middle.
Yeah, although the result is obvious later on.
Of course, it's such a big smash. I thought for a moment I was reading Big My Hero Academia.
So basically, Akame talks to Kurome and says, "Look, without the drugs taking it's taking its effects. Oh no,
it's too powerful. It's overclocking her.
Yeah, she's saying like, look, you're not gonna be able to beat me. I'm basically the victor now. And then Kurome's like, I'll just take more. And then she talks about how I made it this far. I can't just give up now. And then it turns out that Waves took the
Wave snatches the drug right out of her fingers.
Yeah.
And crushes it.
Yeah, and it turns out that basically what happened was, I guess, all he was able to do, because Tatsumi appears right after.
Yeah, he was at least able to blow him away, distract him long enough.
Yeah, that's all. So basically, even then, it wasn't strong enough, and he later says that too. And he says like, look, you can't get away from them, Wave. I'm not gonna let you stop this fight. And Wave's like, no, I am. And then Tatsumi says, look, Kurome is the one who wants to do this, But in the end, what happened was Wave said, look, I'm not stopping you as a man of the Empire. I'm going to stop you as the man who loves you. And then
he wants to protect her at all costs.
Yeah, and this love of mine is going to be what makes me defect from the Empire, which is the biggest thing from the entire chapters. That he wants to have Kurome and himself defect from the Empire, so that way they can go and get her to recover. They said they're going to go to some special secret spring.
Yeah.
And he said, Akame's like, wait, what about the whole changing the Empire from within bullshit? And he says, well, I believe what I said, but at this point, the only thing I can do right now is, the priority is to save Kurome.
Kurome is more important than the Empire for him now.
Oh man. So I do have a problem with the way this is stated. And then he says, look, this is why I'm never gonna leave her side. And then Kurome is just like, wait a second, look, this is great and all, but I'm not going to affect the Empire, And so they basically talk to each other. Well, they yell at each other and argue a bit. And he's like, look, I'm not gonna join the rebel army, but we are gonna withdraw from the fight.
I do like one part here real quick is that
And
you
so,
see. Wait. There's one part here I do like, where Kurome's like the brainwashing is kicking in. Like she's happy that Wave wants to be with her, but defecting from the Empire cannot be forgiven. It's like, look, you've given it your all. I'll forgive you. Like she thinks she can't.
Yeah, that too.
So he's almost like giving her like a way to break the brainwashing in a bit.
Yeah.
That was kind of makes me think of the recent Doctor Who episode, but that's another thing that's not relevant to us here.
So, they talk a bit, and I like how Wave is like, my feelings bubbled to the surface. I'm like, wait a second, you've always shown that you liked her. This is not a surprise out of nowhere. Like, it's always been at the surface.
Well, maybe he only just fully realized like just how deep it went.
I don't know. I was pretty sure how deep. We were all pretty sure about that.
Well, we already acknowledged Wave is an idiot. We already know Wave's an idiot.
Oh gosh. Okay, so Leon comes in. He's like, I searched for the presidents nearby, and nobody's around. And so they basically confirm that he is alone.
Yeah.
And she says, look, you may have used up one of your transformations. That means he has like 2 left now.
Something like that. But she does also note that the end result is getting 2 Jaegers off the battlefield, one way or another.
And so she's Wave. Yeah, so Wave asked for
Akame.
Yeah, she asked her to stop, and Akame to stop and said, look, I'm just trust your sister to me. I will protect her. Blah blah blah. 9 shining armor. And she's like, okay, well here's how it's gonna go. Akame is gonna be the one who makes the decision. I mean, not Akame. Kurome. Kurome is gonna be the one who makes the decision. If she attacks me, I'll be the opponent. But also you have someone to think about, which is Wave. So you decide. And then Kurome goes a little nuts and says blah blah blah. I can't betray the Empire. And so Wave decides to do something where he shatters his
her
Tegu. Was it
her Tegu?
Or was it? Oh,
he shatters her sword.
Shatters her Tegu and says, yeah, that's right. That's what I said. And so he says, all those ghosts of your past, I'll make sure they have distant memory, and this is going to give you closure. So take my hand, come with me. That I have another problem with that. I'll get to that later, though.
Okay.
So, Croix is like.
We also get the big damn kiss.
Okay, that's basically what it was.
Yeah, we also get the big damn kiss right here.
Yeah, whatever. Did they do the big damn kiss?
Well, yeah, and the 2 page spread there.
Not really.
Right after he breaks the sword. Page 43.
Oh yeah, I totally missed that. Because I didn't care. That was like. It was so stupid. I just kind of blocked it from my memory and also my vision. I moved on pretty quickly this way. So eventually they're like, okay, well we're leaving now. And Tatsumi says, wow, I can't believe, after all this, you were able to somehow end the situation with anyone dying. My gosh, you're so strong. Not really. Yeah.
And this is kind of like one thing that occurs to me here, real quick. The title of the chapter is Kill Fate. Well, they did kind of do that because up until this moment, the rule has always been 2 Tegu users fight, 1 walks away. But now everybody lives, Rose. There's just once. Everybody lives.
Ironically, it's the one where I don't want anyone to. I want someone to die. This was the only time I actually wanted someone to die. I still want them to die, actually.
Yep.
But he's like, okay, well, we're leaving. And and he has his good farewell to Tatsumi, saying, look, I actually couldn't beat you. All I did was just to keep up with you for a second. In the end, you would have probably beaten the shit out of me, and rightfully so. And
Akame also knows that they can make sure everybody assumes that they were killed in battle because they've got the shattered sword as proof.
Yeah, and so he's like, I owe you another one, Ran. To say goodbye to that guy who he borrowed the Tegu from. And so basically they say goodbye, have this supposedly sisterly moment, and says, I could do this again. I want to be your little sister. And Akame's like, same here. I'll be your big sister again. Too.
So they're able to reconcile.
So basically they said live a happy life, which basically means they probably never ever see each other again.
We can hope.
And then Kurome starts crying, because she says basically goodbye. And then Tatsumi's like, hey, no one had to die today. This is a great time to celebrate, We're gonna change this country, because basically the only people now are the minister and Esdet, and the minister's not. I don't think he's a fighter. So
yeah, and also nobody had to die this day.
Yeah. So yeah. great job. Basically, we'll ride our way through. That's how I honestly felt back then. Why do you have to leave that last sentence? So basically, something bad happens again. He's like, that's how I honestly felt back then. And so one Jaeger remaining.
Yep, and that's Esdeath, the toughest of them all.
They also said the next chapter, new development unfolds. I'm like, okay, what more can we change?
Well, maybe we'll actually start the actual attack on the city.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, let's put it this way. So, as and now a little analysis. Now, I will point out that in the previous chapters, we've all hated. Well, I hated Wave, but we've all pointed out that, we expected it to be really bad. We thought that maybe Akame might die, or Leon might die, or Natsumi won't die, but one of those two, or something really horrible happens, and
my own prediction I think was Kurome kills Wave in a fit of brainwashing.
Yeah. So, well, that almost happened.
Yeah.
But so we were off on that because let's face it, what happened was completely unexpected and honestly a little out of tone of what happened.
Yeah, it's a little too neat.
It's a bit of a cop out. It's. I understand that sometimes it happens, but I think there's a problem that it presents. The first thing is Wave's development, which is I always point out that he never grew up because he never actually answered the question. He never actually changed his philosophy about anything. He just used love as, you know what, this will be like a easy way. It was an easy way out of the situation. He never actually clashed with his views and therefore had to grow up like Suzaku did.
Yeah. Closest thing here is choosing love over peace or love over the empire.
Yeah. Suzaku was different. He actually had to have his philosophy smashed right back into his face, and then realize that what happened was, I was an idiot. I have to change the way I am because what I'm doing is not working, and so I think that's a maturation that Suzaku went through, and I feel like Wave was not given that, and therefore he's still idealistic and still, in my opinion, still a child. Because let's face it, the whole love will find a way. I mean, if you ever seen the show Boy Meets World, even that series said no, you can't do that.
Of course, the spin-off series has them married.
Well, yeah, because they actually they realized that love isn't just the only thing they could do. They had to work, and they had to figure out how their life worked. They had to get on with it basically. And that's the thing though. Like, Wave doesn't understand that. It's anything bad stuff can still happen. Like Kurome can still lapse at any moment. She's not, the whole brainwashing thing can't just be gone immediately like that. And maybe the Empire might still go after them for the rest of their lives, or who knows. It was too nice of an ending.
Yeah, it was too tightly wrapped up, I think. Here, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing to wrap up at the endings, but like you said, it's too different from the tone. What it made me think of earlier is like, I'm now wondering if who's the author? What's the author's name for this series? I forget.
I don't remember.
But it's like basically like, it made me wonder if let's see here, if Kurome and or Wave were like this to this guy what Sasuke was to Kishimoto.
Yeah, well, it seemed like it. He's getting a get Wave free card. He really like
Takahiro and Tashiro are the authors. Okay. You can see it on page 3.
Because like Wave has Wave, for someone so idealistic, you'd think he'd be killed off like some other characters have in these types of worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But as I point in the Boy Meets World things, like love, if you wanted to be realistic, love is not the answer. To succeed in love, you have to understand where you're going to go with life. You have to go to college. You have to get a job, and you have to understand that getting married just like literally like when you're 18 is not the best solution. And so that is basically what I feel like. I know that in Boy Meets World, they eventually do get married, but they had to go through a lot of shit to get there. And so for Kurome and Wave to just be like, we're gonna have a happy ending, it's a very fairy tale type of thing.
And it actually works with Wave as a character because that's kind of where he is. Yeah,
but I also point out that I think Wave's character should not be able to, like, I feel like his existence should not, what's happening should not be existing in this world. It's too weird. It's too much of a, as I said previously, a cop out. It's not really sticking with the theme of the manga, which is like, life can be horrible. It can also be great, but I mean, again, Kurome has such a problem that it to be ignored like that. It's just it destroys a lot of the build up. Let me put it this way. So I said, well, the first thing I have was like this. Well, the second thing is that Kurome, she should have been a bit more independent.
With the brainwashing, I can forgive that to a point.
Yeah, to a point. It just felt like the knight in shining armor trope. It was a little too like, oh my gosh,
a little too much. I mean, I think they mitigate that a bit by having Akame be the one who tells Kurome it's your choice.
Yeah.
Of course, then again, at the same time, Wave kind of takes that choice away from her.
He does.
Because he breaks the sword. She can't continue fighting even if she wanted to at that point.
Yeah. And then, and I said like.
So I take back what I said about mitigating.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, and again, Wave, he left the battlefield as a child because he still believes he still believes that what his philosophy is what works.
Well,
in reality, it doesn't.
He said that he believed it at the time, so things have changed, but at the same time, he's kind of transferred that to Kurome.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not changed. It's just saying, I'm putting that aside for now. But right now, the priority is Kurome. He even said the word priority, meaning that he still believes what he believes. It's just that at this point, Kurome is what matters. But
yeah, so he's stepping out of the war then. So he might join the Empire again once it's been reconquered and all that, but he's done for now.
And it's just lucky. They'll just be lucky if the Empire ends up being reformed by then. At the end of the day, he's still just in my opinion, a mindless soldier. I mean, not mindless in the sense that he.
Didn't you say they had something like that in the anime version of Akame ga Kill?
Yeah. At the end, he still worked for the Empire.
Mm-hmm. But he just did. He still changed his sides because the Empire's changed sides.
Yes, so it's still like that's a terrible. You know what that is? Actually, it's a Bushido type of thing. In Japan,
serving the Lord.
They always follow their Lord, even if the Lord does crappy things, because they're bound by the honor to do.
Or the Kingsguard.
Yeah, the Kingsguard in Game of Thrones, or any knight actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, except Jaime.
And also I hated how Akame. I mean not Akame. I keep confusing their names. It's kind of insane.
Kurome means black.
I know that. Kurome got closure. I mean, there's this whole build-up, the entire manga, that she could not let go of the fact that her comrades died, and so it's just like, I'm gonna give you all that closure simply by breaking your tegu from a symbolic gesture. I'm like, that's it? In 1 second, that's all it took? This is stupid.
I mean, it's not, on the one hand, maybe it's because she can't do anything about it anymore. Like, she is done at that point, but you have a point on there too. It's like, how does this really offer closure? But I don't think it really does for her, because even then she's still struggling with it. It's like, apparently it just gets so bad for her, she decides she wants nothing to do with it any longer.
The thing is also, like, if it's so bad, if she's so psychologically bad, it's kind of like, oh, don't worry, we'll just go to a hot springs, a secret springs, and she'll get all better. I'm like, that sounds very, very naive and ideal, which is rightfully so for Wave. But it just sounds so like, that's all it took? Really? There's no trouble. There's no. She might relapse and kill you.
I said it before we started here. Like, despite the length of the chapter, it felt rushed.
Yeah. I mean, I point out that, Akame ga Kill finishes the fights very quickly. Like, every chapter there's a fight that starts and ends. If anything, this one actually kind of went on longer because it went on through 2 chapters. But the reason why it felt so rushed was because there was so much build up to it that to finish it, even in just 2 chapters, but also to have the climax be finished like this so quickly, it does make it feel a bit rushed and a little undeveloped. And that's why I said, like, look, this is the best scenario, but for the wrong reasons. Like, we said, like, why don't we just have Wave and Kurome be neutral? And this is what actually happened. But I also said, like, I'd rather have it because they realize that their philosophy falls apart if you really think about it.
At least in this series.
Yeah, because if you think about what loyalty means and what people are fighting for, their philosophy makes no sense. Their comrades die because they believe what they're fighting for was good, but what if what they were fighting for was not good? Who are you really betraying? Yeah, well, what if his master, like you said, what if the master of Wave had actually changed sides? What would have Wave done? I think that would have been a great way to look at it. Have Wave actually understand that, look, at the end of the day, people can change, and you should not prevent yourself from changing just because you're so bound by honor or by code to this one idea, because it just makes you static, and you cannot develop and be dynamic, And I said, like, he did develop as a character, but not as much as he should have. Love cannot save the day in Akame ga Kill, but also in life too. But especially in Akame ga Kill.
Yeah, so this is deadly.
Yeah, so to say that it can and get away with it feels weird, especially if it's with this much baggage. I mean, with the Kurome, right?
Yeah, Kurome's got a lot of baggage she's got to work through here.
And Akame pointed out, like, look, how do you not know she'll relapse? Why are we leaving it at that? I mean, are we gonna have another, like, what's gonna happen to them, like, later on, showing? Because I feel like I do feel like they glossed over a lot of like kind of the cruel, realistic things that have happened to these characters. They glossed over it just so they can have this ending, because I guess the author really favored it. Maybe he wanted Wave and Kurome to be the sole light of hope in this manga, which I think is a very poor choice because they're assholes. If you're gonna do it, make it with people who are characters who are likable.
Yeah.
And I also said, like, I'm sure people might say, like, well, can't you just be happy that you got what you wanted? And I said, well, it's like saying I'm expecting a test and I think I'm gonna get a 50 and then I get a 70. I am definitely happier that I didn't fail the test, like got a 50, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is not 100%. It is not a 90. It's not even an 80. It's not an A or B. It is still a C. It is mediocre. So just because you have decided not to be the worst does not exempt you from stuff that I could say, well, what should have happened or what could have happened that I would have preferred. So yeah, the scenario is the best scenario. I like the scenario, but I'm unsatisfied by the reasons, of that he took. I mean, that's what I'll say about that. Did I say anything else? Not really. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just, like I said, to me, this, like we kind of been saying already, this battle ended a bit too pat for me here. It's like just a little too neatly. It legitimately makes me worry if next chapter we're going to see this all come crashing down for Wave and Kurome.
It's not.
I mean, I don't seem like they don't set up for it, but at the same time, this way this author works, I could see it happening.
It's not. The way he has favored Wave way too much. I mean, Wave has survived.
Yeah, true. Like I said, like I suggested, like he's like their Sasuke.
Yeah, it's no. And hell, I would love it actually if it went wrong for them, because I don't think. Look at how many people they killed, right?
Yep.
Who have fought for the right thing, and they get away with the happy ending. If you think about it, is there any justice behind that? Think about it. They killed a lot of people whose sole motivation was for the betterment of the people, and they've killed those guys in cold blood. And
so has Night Raid, like with the bad guys. They've essentially done the same thing. It's just like which side you're doing it on. So I don't really think that argument really applies here.
Remember, Night Raid gives. They're actually a little more different. They actually give the Empire the opportunity to defect. Like, they say, look, if you want to leave, you can join us. But if you're going to stand in our way, we're going to kill you. Versus the Empire, who says,
I've never known them to do that.
You no matter what, you assholes.
I've never known them to do that.
Sorry?
They kill them. They just straight up murder them. I have never seen them. I do not remember them ever giving them a chance to join sides, except in maybe special cases, like Kurome here.
Maybe.
They straight up murder those people, and that's something like that's something they bring up as early as the first few chapters. Like, they are not heroes. Like, they are killers. They kill for different. Yeah, they may do it for different reasons or better reasons, but they're still, like, in that perspective, their actions, other than motivation, what they're doing it for, what they're doing is not all that different.
True. All right, I'll take that back then.
Yeah.
But I still think that they got off easy. I just don't. I don't like that.
I mean, at the very least, of the ones who could get off easy, Wave and or Kurome are probably the ones who could justifiably do so.
True. I mean, I feel like if Tasumi gets out, he's gonna be, like, rehabilitated for a long time because of the effects of his Tegu. And I just feel like they should at least have some guilt. Have that. At least,
Wave. Like I said, I don't know about if Kurome would, just because, like, the way things work for her is like she may have guilt for the wrong reasons, I think.
Yeah, and not to mention that Wave saw people take drugs, and he doesn't have a problem with it. Like it would have came
Well,
down to
did he actually not have a problem with it, or was it like he had a problem with it but couldn't do anything about it?
he couldn't do it. Well, I mean, he wouldn't do anything about it. I think that's the best way to say it. He's only doing it for Kurome because he loves her, which is a very, I feel like a guy who really wants justice would do so regardless of whether he loved or didn't love someone. You know, like Batman. If Batman would save your life even if you're a villain. You know, because it's his principle. So I think my problem is Wave's principles are horribly off. Like I don't like his principle. And it's too romantic. It's too romanticized actually.
Yeah, romanticized is probably the better word here.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
That's the rest of it.
yeah. Overall, this is probably not my favorite chapter, to be honest. Like it just because stuff we've mentioned already. I'm not going to go repeating everything again. But it's not a bad chapter per se, though.
Yeah.
I didn't much enjoy how it wrapped up, but that's me more than anything else.
Well, I mean, again, as I said, is the best scenario we have. They went neutral. That's the best thing that could happen.
I think we even suggested Rave doing that at some point. Like he still believes in the Empire, but he can't bring something to affect the Night Raid. But the Empire is no longer what he admires. But so didn't we say that before they just opt out of the battle?
Yeah, but at the same time, that's not the reason why he's doing it. The reason is because he had to do it in order to save Kurome. If Kurome was never there, he would not become neutral. And I think that's what I wanted. Like I wanted him to decide to be neutral without having something like Kurome, affect him on an emotional level like that. And I think because he's not, as I said, he's not answering the philosophical question of does he, of his beliefs. He's just saying whatever. All I do is going to care about Kurome. So he's not maturing the way Suzaku did in Code Geass, where he had to realize what he believed in was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that what he was doing was too naive and too, like he still believes that working your way in is the answer. He still believes that, and that's why I don't like. He has walked away from the battlefield believing that's still viable, and it's not. And
not what the Empire is now.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. He still believes that, and that is the problem I have with the chapter. That is the problem, is that he has walked away without answering the question. It's been glossed over. It's a cop out. He has ran away from the question. Very cowardly. Think about it. He has ran away from the.
Yeah. At the very worst, he's postponed the question
using
for the sake of
Kurome as an excuse.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way I should have said that. He has ran away from the question without you.
Oh, you broke up a little. I want to repeat that last part you just said.
Kurome is an excuse. I think that's
yeah. Yeah, so I can get behind that. I can agree with that there. At any point, that has been our review of Akame Got Killed, Chapter 66, Kill Fate. Go ahead and take us away.